Yeah, the stream is.
Cool. Words and then
We
is that right?
we live stream and we record the stream locally on the hard disk and upload it to YouTube.
Makes sense. Cool. And how is it in Lima today?
Yeah, great. We're actually in Lima.
Oh, okay, cool. Is it a big city?
Not so much. It's like, I guess, 300,000 people.
Yeah, seems not huge, but not too small either.
Yeah, so we will start in 3 minutes. We are all set right now.
Okay, perfect.
The stream is good. You work full time for the hostel? Or?
I do, yeah. I work full time for the hustle. Are we on right now?
Yeah, we are on. We are like streaming. We start in 1 minute. I will start recording in 1 minute.
Yeah, I work full time for the hustle. I mean, the hustle has two sides of the business. You know, there's the media side and the event side. So my focus is on the events, but I also help out with the media side as well, doing a few things. So yeah, but it's definitely a full-time job. Is this your full-time job, devAcademy?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, so we are starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I will start recording. Hi everyone, welcome to the Dev Hangout. Today's show is HostelCon and organizing conferences. And our guest for today is Kera Zacuto. Kera is director of events at the hostel and the organizer of the annual event of HostelCon. She works and lives in San Francisco, California. And we will talk today about hostel. Kera will talk us about this concept. And she will talk about us for the HostelCon, the conference, and what's her experience organizing conferences, and the future of the HostelCon, and the next edition in 2017. My name is Lennon Shimokawa, @Shimokawa on Twitter. And hi, Kera. It's nice to have you here in the show. Maybe you can introduce yourself and talk about what do you do at the hostel.
Yeah, of course. Well, thanks for having me today. So at the Hustle, I manage all of our events, including our annual conference, HustleCon, and other smaller events that we do both here in San Francisco and hopefully very soon other parts of the United States. And then I also help with things that are happening outside of events at the Hustle. So recruiting, helping out with our native ads on the Hustle's daily emails, organizing that process, just sort of managing whatever needs to be managed. We're a small team, so I wear a lot of hats.
Yeah, sure. So what's the hustle in that hustle mean for you?
To me, hustling means getting it done no matter what. So whatever that is, if it's building a business or planning an event or getting in touch with someone who seems to be impossible to get in touch with, just finding a way to be scrappy and get it done. Sometimes that means using really unique methods to accomplish your goal. And I think that is a really spot-on definition of hustling in my world.
It's more like a mindset.
It's more like a mindset, I think, yes. I mean, having the hustle mindset, I think, is more important than having really any other kind of mindset. Being scrappy, being lean, being flexible, these are all aspects of the hustle mindset.
Can you share any hustling story?
Yes, I can. So one example comes to mind specifically. There was a time when I first started this company about a year ago, and my founders, there's two founders of this company, and they decided they want to have an event in the next 2 weeks, which is not impossible, but kind of tough for the size that they wanted. They wanted like 100 people to come to this event. They didn't know what they wanted it to be or where we'd host it or how to get people there. So my job was to figure all of that out. And the way that I did that was I talked to other people I knew in San Francisco, people who had the space to host 100 people. I talked to them about some things they would want to learn if they were going to go to an event. And I thought about what we're good at here at The Hustle, which is content creation. And within a week, I had planned out an event for 100 people. It was a writer's workshop where people learned how to create content that could, in theory, go viral. And we had over 100 signups, and about 110 people showed up, and it was a blast. I mean, it went really fast. I can't believe I pulled it off to this day, but it ended up being a really successful event.
Yeah, great. So let's talk about the HustleCon, this event for non-tech founders. Can you talk about how did it started and how is the HustleCon different from other conferences?
So HustleCon started back in 2014. Sam Parr, he's the founder of the company. He was working with me and his now business partner, John. So we were all working at a company together, and Sam left the company because he wanted to start something extraordinary. He wanted to start an event that would just blow people's minds, really change the way they thought about how they educated themselves. And so he organized the first HustleCon in about 4 weeks out of his kitchen, and he invited all his friends and was able to manage to get some really cool speakers and sponsors and got the whole thing paid for, and used volunteers to help pull it off. And he invited me and he invited John, and we came and we loved it. We thought it was so cool. And so eventually, after the conference went well, he decided to do it again. Only this time he invited John to come and be his co-founder, and they brought me on to handle logistics. And so together, the three of us put on another HustleCon. This time it had 600 people. which was double, I think more than double what the first year had been. After that HustleCon with 600 people, we talked to all of the attendees and our friends and our networks, and we said, what was your favorite part of the event? And they said, well, the event was great, but I loved the emails that you sent out before the event. They were so interesting. They were so funny. Like, I loved the emails. I looked forward to the emails every week. And we thought, well, I bet we can make a business out of that. So that's how the company was born. We decided to start a company based on the idea of creating amazing digital content and also having an event once a year at least to bring our community together. So that's what we do. The Hustle is a daily email that we use to reach our readers. And then we have the Hustle, we have HustleCon once a year, which is where everyone can get together and learn in person. So that's kind of neat.
So HustleCon was first, and then the Hustle as the media company?
Yeah, that's right. So HustleCon started as an event first, and then when we realized that people loved the content, we thought, let's add that to the business model and see if we can make money off of the two aspects, both events and digital content. Awesome. And we just started making money, so pretty exciting.
Can you talk more about the event, how it's these startup tactics for non-techies work?
Yes, absolutely. So one thing that all of us at The Hustle have in common is that we're not technical, which is tough if you're building a company. You need to know how to build a website and that kind of thing. But there's so much more to building a business aside from knowing how to code. And so that's what we try to show people and teach people at HustleCon. So the goal of HustleCon is to teach people who are interested in building a business or growing a business how to do that without using technical skills. And so we invite around 15 speakers to come on stage over the course of one day to give a very tactical talk about how they started their business or grew their business. They talk for around 30 minutes, and it can be anything from how they got their first 100 million users to the site, how they used content to drive traffic, how they used how they got press for their business without knowing anyone in publishing or in media, how they built their first prototype without knowing really how to build a prototype. So those are all different topics that we've seen be presented at HustleCon. So the goal is to come away with something very tactical and specific that people can replicate in their own companies. So that's kind of the gist of what's going on stage. And then aside from just the stage content, we also have a couple of networking opportunities throughout the day. And that's an opportunity for people to get to know each other, which is cool because I've actually seen people meet their future co-founder or future manager or create business opportunities from the introductions that they've made at HustleCon, which is pretty neat.
Awesome. So this year, HustleCon was the third edition, I guess. Can you talk more about the event? How many people attended? Who were the main speakers?
Yes, absolutely. So we had about 1,700 people come to this year's HustleCon, which is crazy to think about. We were at 600 people the year before, so it was really crowded. We did it in a big theater in Oakland, California, right outside of San Francisco. It felt like kind of like a concert. It was a cool vibe. And we had 16 speakers. So everyone who was on stage I thought was pretty magnificent, but some of my favorites and probably most recognizable are the founder of OkCupid, which is the biggest dating website certainly in the country. It's owned by Match.com. OkCupid was started by a guy named, oh my goodness, I forgot his name. Someone important for sure. I'll remember it in a second. He's started by the same guy who founded SparkNotes, which was also very popular, and he now is the CEO of the Match Group, which owns Tinder, Match.com, OkCupid. I think collectively that company is worth about $3 billion. Bonobos is another company that was represented. The founder of Bonobos, Andy Dunn, he started this company while he was still in business school, and it's a pants company for men. And he started by selling clothes out of the trunk of his car. They're worth, I think, they're making about $100 million in revenue right now, which and they have a deal with Nordstrom. They're absolutely exploding. Headspace is another one. That's a meditation app founded by a former Buddhist monk, and they have well over 1 million downloads now, and I think they're valued at around $40 million. And another one is Indiegogo, which was the original crowdfunding company website, and they have, I think they had around 2.5 million users last year alone, and they've helped raise over $800 million for people's campaigns. So they're also doing very well. Those were some of our big speakers this year.
I attended the HustleCon this year. Thanks it was really a great event. I enjoy more the talk about Soylent. It was like really really good talk, and Casper also, the mattress business.
They were Casper is doing so well. They made, I think they sold out of their inventory in like the first week of launching. So that was a cool talk. I'm glad you saw that one. That was Jeff Chapin. He's the head of product and co-founder of Casper, right?
Mm-hmm. Awesome. There's a YouTube channel also where you can watch the previous talks in HustleCon. I will share the link in Twitter. Regarding organizing events, HustleCon turned a lot bigger. What were the biggest challenge in this edition of HustleCon?
Good question. So probably the number one most challenging thing I dealt with is something all event planners deal with when you're talking about a ticketed event, an event that someone will actually pay money to go to, is just selling the tickets. Mm-hmm. I thought our lineup was pretty fantastic at this year's HustleCon, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it as well. But even so, it was really hard to ensure that enough tickets would be sold that we would be able to afford putting on another event. And this has happened every year for the last 3 years of putting on HustleCon, is that the tickets come at the end, really, really close to the event itself. This is totally normal for anyone planning a conference. If this is happening to you, don't worry. It's totally normal. But it will kind of make you freak out a little bit. All the way in the weeks leading up, there was a little bit of anxiety that we weren't going to sell enough tickets, and then of course we actually exceeded our expectations ultimately, but that was a really big challenge at the time. Another challenge we faced was the venue itself. Now, the venue that we hosted HustleCon in is beautiful. If you go to the HustleCon website, you can see pictures of the venue. It was gorgeous, and it fit a lot of people, and the staff was really nice to work with, but the space was a little bit tricky. There was nowhere to hold lunch, so we had to close down the street outside of the venue and have lunch outside in the street, which worked fine, but it was a little bit crowded. The lobby inside was pretty spacious when you have only a few hundred people in there, but with around 1,700 people, it got really crowded really fast. It was kind of hard to move around. So we were trying to figure out the best way to keep the flow of traffic going. That was kind of tricky. And the other thing was that there wasn't any storage at the venue. So when you're putting on an event for over 1,000 people, or really if you're putting on an event for even just a few hundred people, you need a lot of supplies, right? You need beverages, food, snacks, you need name tags and programs and thank you bags and places for your volunteers to put their supplies. And when you don't have storage, you have to get creative really quickly. So our solution was to use a space we had originally envisioned as being kind of a hangout spot. We ended up using that as our storage space. And we were lucky because there was a curtain that went in front of it. And so we could store all of our beverages in there. And and go back and forth. And our other solution was to rent a big truck. And the truck was extremely helpful. And so our volunteers were going back and forth between the truck and the venue all day. And we're very grateful for that.
Awesome.
So that was also very challenging. And then the last thing I would say on that point is learning how to do everything. You know, if you're new to event planning, learning how to do everything from building the website to figuring out where to sell tickets and at what price point and how to get sponsors. I mean, it's a big task to do alone. So I would also really recommend to anyone looking to throw an event of this size, or if it's your first time throwing a conference, get someone to just help you bounce ideas off one another and to take on a share of the work. And you can probably find someone whose skill sets supplement yours very well, complement them.
How many people were in the HustleCon team and how many volunteers?
We had about 25 volunteers at HustleCon. They were amazing. I mean, really, some of the best humans I've met in my life. But we had an open application for a while, and we had around 100 applicants to be a volunteer at HustleCon. And if I could go back, I would probably have accepted more of them because there's always something to do at HustleCon.
Awesome. So, what marketing strategies did you, like new market strategies did you try at HustleCon this year?
Let's see, there are probably 5 main marketing strategies. We used Facebook to advertise the event. We created content around each of the speakers, either an article or an infographic. And those are on thehustle.co. We held smaller local events to get people really fired up and to just kind of spread the word about HustleCon. We did a lot of email marketing through the hustle itself. So it was really nice to have this digital media side of the business because we were able to leverage the readers on the hustle to sign up for HustleCon. And the last thing we did was we identified shared workspaces all over San Francisco and all over California and eventually all over the United States. And we emailed the director of community at each of those places, and we offered them a discount specifically for their community. It was a small discount, maybe like 10% off their tickets. But we know that shared workspaces, that's where a lot of hustlers go. They are working on a budget. They need a space to get their business built, and the tactics they would learn at HustleCon we knew would be valuable for them. And so we invited a ton of individuals at shared workspaces to join us at HustleCon. It was basically like a personal invitation, and that worked out very well. It was a very good rate of acceptance from that method.
And well, also as an event organizer, or maybe first events that you organize, it can be difficult to get speakers and sponsors. How do you get, well, in the first edition of HustleCon, where it was not so popular, maybe in this year it was a lot much easier, but in the first edition of HustleCon, how do you get the speakers and the sponsors?
So one of the best ways you can get speakers and sponsors is also one of the trickiest ways, and that's to get press. If you can get articles written about your company or about what you're doing or about a partner that you're already working with, if you can get something published about what you're doing, it really helps you get traction. We found that people actually reached out to us once they saw that the event was happening. So the biggest move is to just get the word out. People don't know what's happening, so they won't sponsor. Once they know that there's a lot of talk and chatter around the event, they'll be really excited. The second one I would say is cold emailing. So I work with a team that just happens to be really, really good at cold emailing, but we learned how to do that through actually a speaker from HustleCon, from when we started doing this event. And I can send that to you if you want, Lennon. It's very helpful in teaching you how to get someone's attention through a cold email. most the way with the highest conversion rate of actually getting a speaker or a sponsor is through a warm introduction. So we reached out to our advisors, friends, former colleagues to try and get introductions to people who would be a great speaker or hopefully a great sponsor. And that was nice because it gets you in the door a lot faster. And then we also got kind of creative. Sometimes we would do something like create a GIF or even a little like video, and then we'd send it to the speaker we really wanted to get in touch with. We didn't do that so much for sponsors, but we did that for speakers, and if it was funny or clever in some way, then that got their attention. So that sort of cold emailing combined with something more creative to get them thinking about us as something a little bit different that they might want to get involved in.
Can you give us any recommendations on how to get press?
Yes. So as far as getting press, I would recommend it's sort of a long game. So in my experience, the best way to do that is to first start by reaching out to journalists whose work you like, whose work you follow, and just start building a relationship through email. Email them, let them know that you liked an article they wrote and why and what kind of effect it had on you. It can be really short. They'll probably respond. And if they don't, that's okay. Wait a few days and try emailing them again, or even a week and try emailing them again. Maybe offer them a tip about a company who just got funding, or ask them if they would be interested in an interview with your friend who just launched their business. So something that shows that you want to provide them value. And then as you develop this relationship with them, then you can say, hey, by the way, I'm starting this company, or I'm starting a conference company. We're hosting our first event on this day. Should be this many people, and this is why you should care. And the reason they could care could be because you have like a really interesting speaker, or because the type of event you're throwing is very unique, or maybe it's in a place that not a lot of conferences are thrown, and you're helping that space, that venue, to get more business. Whatever it is, give them the story, show them the value right away, and then ask if they'd be interested in interviewing you about it. And they might not be, and that's okay. But at that point, you've already developed a relationship where hopefully, as you continue to grow, you'll already have that relationship, and so that when you do have something they want to write about, you're already 12 steps in. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's my best recommendation for getting press. The other way to get press is to do a guest post. So let's say you're talking to journalists and they're not interested in covering the story. Well, you could always write a guest post about something that's related and ask them if they want to publish it on their publication. So, for example, if you want them to cover let's say you want press about devAcademy, right? And they aren't really interested in interviewing you. Well, you could propose an article that outlines the value of live streaming events and how much traction you've gotten from live streaming events, and write an article about it. Obviously, it's about your company, but it's also about another concept. And then they might be interested in publishing that. And then anyone who reads that article will learn about you, hopefully click to your website, and then that's a good way to get interest in either your event or your company, or even from a journalist who might want to follow up with you about another story.
Well, we're now starting to use Medium as a content platform, and I think it's going very well. Have you tried Medium or other platforms?
I haven't tried Medium specifically through the hustle, but that's because we host our articles on our own website. In general, I think Medium is phenomenal, and if any of you either are writers or hope to be writers or want to do this guest posting, I highly recommend using Medium. I think they're probably the best platform out there. I think the key with Medium is to continue posting regularly. You have to stick with it, and don't be discouraged if you aren't getting as many comments or likes as you want, because that comes with time. You have to build followers. And so another way to do that is to follow other people, somewhat like Twitter.
So can we start talking about the future of Hustle.com? The next, what are you currently working on? What are you preparing for the next years?
Yeah, so we are already starting to plan for HustleCon 2017. So working with the venue on the dates and talking to sponsors and speakers and that kind of thing. We're planning an event in New York City in September, so I'm very excited about that. So it'll be kind of a casual event with probably about 400 people. And we'll have a few speakers, and it'll be kind of low-key, but it's our first time doing anything in New York, so I'm very excited about that. We are recruiting. We are going to hire, hopefully, someone in the next few weeks. We have a few people we're interviewing right now, so our team is small right now, only 5 people, but I think we'll grow to probably double that by the end of the year. And we also just started putting out advertisements on the Hustle, the daily email, and part of my job is to manage that process. So to work with our editorial team and with our clients who want to advertise with us to make sure that process is really seamless and to make sure they're getting the results they want to get, which is usually traffic to their website or sign-ups for their product or that kind of thing. So that's what I'm working on right now. And then as far as what's going on for HustleCon in the future, it'll probably be a bigger event next year.
Bigger?
With probably a little bit bigger, probably around the venue that we work with can hold around 3,000 people, which is a little bit too big for us. But we'll probably add another 300 people this year, so it's around 2,000 attendees. I think we'll see more targeted and more tactical presentations than this year. I think we'll see more video content leading up to HustleCon and also more events leading up to HustleCon. But in general, I think it'll be the same great quality audience at HustleCon with better networking opportunities and more specific presentations from our speakers.
It will continue in San Francisco, or are you planning to get in other cities?
For the time being, we'll stay in San Francisco, but we are absolutely planning to take this event elsewhere, both in the United States and hopefully internationally as our company develops. But for the time being, we'll stay local.
I have some questions from Twitter. Can you share something about the target audience, like age or like profiles that were marketing, business? Any data can you share about the target audience of the conference?
Yes, of course. So most of our attendees are in the millennial generation. So between the ages of about 22 to 35, it was almost evenly split between male and female. So it was 60% male and 40% female this year, which is more even than it was in previous years. So I'm pleased to see that sort of leveled out. I would say, as far as professions go, we had quite a variety, but most of our attendees are high-level professionals, CEOs, COOs, directors, VPs, managers. And then we had a ton of founders. We had a lot of people who were starting their own company, both small companies and larger companies who wanted to learn from this conference. So professionally, most of them were founders, but we also had a lot of marketers, an enormous amount of product marketers and product managers, salespeople, tons of designers, and business development professionals. So people who help the company grow, growth analysts, and new business development, account management, that kind of thing.
And can you share about the countries? You have like a big map where the people point the countries they came for. Which countries do you have in the conference?
Yeah, we had so many international attendees this year. So Peru, of course, Argentina, Spain, Australia, Russia, Pakistan, which was kind of cool, Egypt, Germany, France, England, Canada, Mexico, We had someone come in from Wales, someone come in from Scotland, Norway, Ireland, and Austria. Maybe more, but that's all I can think of right now.
Awesome. During the event, what was your role during the event? You
On
were
the day
you were
of the event?
like running all over the event, but what was your role during the event?
Yeah, I think you remember, Lennon, I was running all over. My job at the event was to manage logistics. So we had a lot going on, right? We had speakers that had to be greeted and brought backstage. We had sponsors that had to be greeted and brought to their tables and help them set up. We had to manage lunch and coffee, and we had to manage working with the staff at the venue. And my job was to just make sure all of that ran really, really smoothly. So I had my team of volunteers. I had put certain people in charge of certain things, and I would work with those lead volunteers to make sure everything ran smoothly. But my job was to be everywhere all the time. So really comfortable shoes and a walkie-talkie and a fanny pack. So I had everything I needed on me at all times.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was nuts.
And what does Sam Parr is the CEO of the hostel?
Sam Parr is the CEO of The Hustle. Yep, you got it.
And what is he right now focusing on?
He is focusing on quite a few things. He does sales, so he signs up clients who want to advertise on The Hustle. He helps find sponsors. He recruits. He writes content, although he's had less time to do that recently because he's been so busy. Mm-hmm. And he makes sure he calls it a pirate ship. He makes sure our pirate ship is working. He makes sure the machine is working. He oversees sort of all of the processes. He also does planning. So he does planning to figure out where we need to be in 6 months, 12 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, in order to hit certain revenue goals, traffic goals, user goals, etc. So he does a lot of business development and sales.
What are your metrics for HostleCon and the hostel? What do you measure?
We measure traffic to the website. We measure, for the hustle, the email, we measure opens. So we try and make sure that the email is being opened by as many people as possible. We track engagement. And by engagement, I mean, what are people doing with the email? Are they forwarding it? Are they using the share buttons? Are they clicking on any of the links in there? So we track all of that. But our most important metrics for the hustle are traffic, or visits to the website, and opens on the email. And for HustleCon, it's ticket sales and sponsorship revenue are the two things we track the most.
Can you share some tips about email marketing?
Yes. So email marketing, we use two platforms. We use MailChimp and SendGrid. MailChimp is great if you're a smaller company with, a few, probably tens of thousands of users. Once you get past that, they're kind of hard to use them as much. So SendGrid is really good for that. And then as far as email marketing goes, I think in our experience, it's all about the content. The content needs to be engaging, funny, entertaining. It should make you feel some kind of emotion, be it shock or sadness or anger or humor. It should make you feel something. That's super important with email marketing. And then there's certain things with email marketing that MailChimp and SendGrid can help you with as far as deliverability, making sure that the email makes it to the person's inbox and that you can track that open. And MailChimp can help you with that. It's definitely more their expertise than mine, but there are certain things you can do to make sure the email is getting there. And then also subject line. Test subject lines. Test the length of subject lines, the tone of subject lines, the use of emojis or ... in a subject line, capitalization versus non-capitalization, using people's names in the subject lines or days of the week. But there's so many things you can test, and you can use A/B testing to figure out what's the best way to get people to open your emails. And the other thing is you can test who is the sender. So we tested to see, do people open emails from Sam at HustleCon, or do they open them more Sam at the Hustle, or Kera at HustleCon, or Kera at the Hustle? So we tested all those things. It's super important to keep testing and keep iterating so you can find the most successful way to get people to open your emails and engage.
On A/B testing, you focus only in one variable? You only switch one variable or test many things at a time?
We only test one variable at a time. Otherwise, your experiment will be, the data will be all confused. So it's important to test one variable at a time, and also to run the test for at least a week, or at least, I would say, like 5 emails. So if you're emailing every day, run it for at least a week. If you're emailing once a week, at least, I would say, a month. You have to test it several times to make sure there's not something else going on. For example, if you send an email the day after a national holiday when everyone's off work and everyone's on vacation, that data will be skewed from what it would be the next week that's a normal week. That's why it's important to run the tests consistently and test one variable at a time.
Maybe one last question. Any maybe recommendations about driving traffic to a website?
Yes, driving traffic to a website. Facebook advertising is a really, really powerful tool. You can target an audience so specifically, and you don't have to spend a lot of money. You could spend a few dollars, really, to achieve some really great results. So try using an image. And what you can do if you have a Facebook page is you can use dark posting, which is a way to basically A/B test your posts. You can dark post 2 images, figure out which image got the most clicks, and then use that image in a Facebook advertising campaign. That's one really good way to drive traffic to your website. Another way to drive traffic to your website is and we talked about this already, but guest posting. If you are at least a decent writer, try getting an article you've written on someone else's publication, and that should help drive traffic as well. Especially if it's a topic that hasn't been written about a lot already, which I know is tough because everything these days has been written about. But see if you can try to put a different spin on it, because that will get noticed by Google, and it will have a higher page ranking, and you're more likely probably to see results from that. Another way to get traffic to your website is ask your friends to just post a link to your website. You could even write out the message for them to post on their Facebook to make it really, really easy for them to help you out. It's a really good way to do it. Another way you can drive traffic to your website is, let's see, Facebook advertising, guest posting, get your friends to help. Oh, you can make videos. Facebook is all about videos these days. They're prioritized videos. So if you make a video, or even if you use Facebook Live, that should help people. That'll help push your posts to the top of your friends and followers' Facebook feeds, and you can use that to help drive traffic to your website as well. Also, regularly scheduled Facebook Live events, so people know you're going to be doing something interesting at this time every week. They're more likely to schedule it on their calendar to come watch you, more likely to tell your friends, word will spread, and then you can drive traffic to your website that way. And then, one more thing I could think of is start building an email list. And I bet a lot of you already have built a lot of email lists, but you could even start by just, putting an email collection form on your website and promising not to spam, and that you'll only send really good information about whatever it is that you want to send about. Then when you email people, every time you email them, maybe only 10% will open the email, and maybe only 5% of that will click through to your website. But that's more than would have normally come. And the more that you are emailing them with really quality emails, the more likely they'll click off to your page, and the more likely they'll tell their friends about it. So email is incredibly powerful, and I think probably one of the best ways to drive traffic to your website.
Awesome, Kera. Well, thank you very much for final recommendations to say goodbye.
Yes, well, I would say if you guys are interested in starting a conference, there are a lot of groups on LinkedIn with great experts and resources, and you should definitely check those out. And also podcasts. There's so many guests out there that are helping other people with their businesses. That's a really good way to find speakers and sponsors to get involved with. So listen to podcasts. Connect with other event professionals, and that's a really good way to build out your network and put on a really successful event. And if you ever want to reach out to me directly, I don't know, Lennon, can we put my information somewhere or something? I'd be happy to email people if they have additional questions.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. I will post your. Do you use more Twitter or what? How do people can contact you?
Yeah, probably just email. I'm Kera at hustlecon.com, Kera at hustlecon.com.
Yeah, sure. So thank you again very much and see you soon. Bye.
Okay, bye. Thanks, Lennon. Have a good one.